everyone. Thanks for being here. We're going to go on a very short trip back to the 80s, which I hear the kids now are calling the late 1900s. And then we're going to dive into a blocky Minecraft world. And hopefully we arrive back here in the midst of the AI revolution. My name is Deirdre Quarnstrom, and I lead the education product team at Microsoft, where we're focused on bringing AI-enhanced learning to learners everywhere. So as I mentioned, we're going to go back to the 80s. And something I realized as I was looking at this picture of myself is I still sit on the edge of my seat. And I don't do it consciously. I don't usually realize I'm doing it. Although on Saturday, I was on a panel, and I was sitting on like the first 4 inches of my seat, which I realized because I went to tuck the clicker for the presentation behind me along with my glasses and my badge. But on this day in probably 1984, I had good reason to sit on the edge of my seat. We were using a computer in school, and that was an amazing innovation. At that time, I wasn't thinking about the personal computing revolution or how that would change teaching and learning and work and life. I also wasn't thinking about what a big change and impact that was on every aspect of learning and on the educators and how bold they were to bring this into their classroom. What I do remember and learning logo and being challenged to try to create a circle on that screen was that feeling of empowerment and that spark of inspiration that I felt the first time I had access to that kind of technology. Now, fast forward about 30 years or so, and I was in a position to bring that kind of innovation and inspiration to a new generation of learners. I was working on bringing Minecraft, the video game, into classrooms and building on really grassroots work that educators started when they saw this open sandbox video game and thought, that's a great environment for learning, an environment where a generation of students are feeling that open world and that creative exploration and their own motivation to go explore and learn and explore beyond the scope of the assignment often. But learning is also messy. I'm going to bring us back to the AI revolution. And this is not another DALL-E image. This is an actual photograph. This is my nephew, Lucas, during the pandemic. And he has his feet on the dining room wall. And I love this photo, and it's such a reminder that as much as there has been change in education and massive investments, learning is still messy. Learning is still fun. He's got a big smile on his face. And I love how even during the pandemic, when there was so much upheaval, there were these fun moments. I'm going to spend some time and talk a little bit about that through that sort of childlike learning journey and that empowerment and inspiration from the lens of Minecraft. So as I mentioned, we, over the last several years, have worked to bring Minecraft into mainstream education. And as I've really reflected over the last year on where we are in the AI revolution, I've seen so many similarities to what we've done with Minecraft and the learnings we had there. Now with that, one of my first expectations was it was going to be the early and career educators who were going to adopt this. They were closest to the generation that grew up with video games in their hands. They were going to feel more comfortable with the technology and more comfortable with something disruptive. And that wasn't what we found at all. In fact, it was the later in career educators, the people who were more comfortable in their practice and willing to try something new, but even more importantly, they were able to recognize that student engagement when they brought a video game into the learning environment. They were willing to do things a little bit differently because there were so many gains. And we're seeing the same thing with AI in education. The second thing that we saw is how important it is to bring all of the stakeholders into the process. And so I knew from playing video games myself and having kids who play games and being around kids that we expected that the young people in the classroom are going to be really receptive to, hey, we're going to play a game today instead of doing another worksheet. And what we found was that was absolutely true. But if we weren't also bringing the educators along, if we weren't bringing administrators and families, we're really running into blockers. So often we fear what we don't know. And so engaging those stakeholders in the process and bringing them in unlocked so much innovation and creativity. And again, I see the same thing with AI. It's when we start to bring people in, when we start to look at, what is that lesson that you just dread teaching? What's the one that is so disruptive? What's that administrative task that just bogs you down and slows you down? And can we use Minecraft to unblock that and make that more engaging? Can we use AI to save you time and free up time for the tasks that you do enjoy and where you bring so much more value? And the third lesson I have from that era is the power of the ecosystem. For any gamers, anyone who's played Minecraft, you know that the Minecraft worlds are powered by this amazing creator ecosystem. And without that, without the community of players and online multiplayer, it wouldn't be the same experience. And we're gonna see the same thing with AI. It's that ecosystem of creators and content providers, the educators, when we are able to connect them all together and extend the value of AI to all of them, we're gonna see the full benefit of that. So some of my sort of childlike learnings from the game-based learning space. As we look more broadly about the opportunities for AI in education, LinkedIn did a study recently looking at job skills and what kind of tasks could be automated by AI. Now, as you would expect, the majority of sort of the tasks associated with teaching require a human and the role of a human. We fully expect that. But there's, in this study, 45% of tasks that would benefit from being augmented by AI. And in doing that and taking some of those tasks that maybe we don't prefer to do or could be really accelerated by AI, we're gonna free up time for those more impactful tasks. I also look at the AI revolution from the perspective of an engineering leader and looking at efficiencies that we can bring. In the study, for every $1 spent on investing in AI, they're seeing 3.4 times the gain in that. So these productivity gains are real. As an example, in my work, being able to summarize documents or summarize a meeting, capture notes. I'm on a nonprofit board, and being able to capture notes with AI saves us so much time and allows us to focus on the more important activities. And then finally, this is not news to anyone participating in this conference, but the type of skills that we will need are changing and evolving. 82% of leaders say that people will need new skills to prepare for AI. And this includes technical skills and coding, but it also includes things like creativity and those things that are gonna bring responsible AI into the system. I have a short video that shows some of what exists already today. The Microsoft Copilot, I'll go ahead and take you through that. So this is Microsoft Copilot. It's available to everyone today. If you haven't already used it, this is a great step in reducing some of that fear of the unknown and trying it. There's chat-based experiences. There's an example that you saw in here in a teaching scenario where you're creating a lesson plan. And so being able to tap into all the content that you already have and have that be summarized, organized, and produced and iterated on for you really provides a great unlock. Going beyond that, though, is where the real value comes. This is an example of a paper that I love around large language models and math. The math education with large language models, peril or promise. And looking at how do we take some of this core technology that we know is innovative and is really gonna drive amazing gains, how do we actually put that to work for us? In this study, they found two things. One is that having customized large language models is critical for success. Now, for anyone who's paying attention, you hear that sometimes large language models get math wrong. And so we're seeing many advances, many people here at the AIR show who are investing in small language models and models that are much better at math tutoring. The other piece that the data is showing us is that when students try a problem first, they have much better outcomes. Again, this is something we know intuitively, but we're taking this kind of research and these investigations and looking at how we can create the best, most customized, personalized uses of AI in education. The work that my team has been doing the last year has been around our learning accelerators. This is a new category that we introduced last year really with a goal of increasing equitable access to the best learning, and we've been infusing those with generative AI as well. The Learning Accelerator is a mix of foundational and future-ready skills, so things like literacy, numeracy, and student well-being with our Reading Coach in Progress tools, Math Coach in Progress that are coming soon, and our Reflect tool. And then future-ready skills, looking at information literacy with Search Coach in Progress and presentation skills with Speaker Coach in Progress. Really tap into some of these fundamental skills that we want to invest in with our young people. All of that is on a foundation of education insights. The Learning Accelerators are free and available to schools. We're also focused as part of that mission to make learning more accessible of integrating these with learning management system providers and other education providers, really with a goal of extending the access and benefit much more broadly. So across those three categories, again, as I go back that journey from being a young person inspired in the classroom with the use of technology, someone leading an engineering organization, and looking at how we can empower the whole ecosystem, we have these three categories of enhancing learning. And so taking those AI-enhanced learning accelerators, but really looking at what are some of the fundamental changes that we need to make. The technology will help, but so much of what we need to do is around changing practice and investing in supporting all the practitioners in the system. One place where we've focused is on boosting productivity. So we saw that example of creating a lesson plan. Within the Teams for Education environment, through Microsoft and the Learning Accelerators, we also have a set of teacher productivity tools. And so if we take some of those tasks, like creating a lesson plan, or in the literacy area that is so important, research shows that the best predictor of learning outcomes and literacy is practicing reading. But sourcing that content that's grade appropriate and probably more importantly is going to capture the student's imagination takes time. So within Reading Progress and Teams for Education, you can create custom reading passages at the individual level or at the entire class level. You can do assessments much more frequently, powered by AI and machine learning. And then you can extend that practice to the student outside of the classroom so that they can create their own passages, they can pick their own path and just keep on reading and getting more minutes of reading practice, which has become so powerful. In some of the teacher preparation tasks, creating comprehension questions is a place where we found is a real time saver, and just being able to put in your reading passage or create a reading passage and generate those comprehension questions is giving the teachers back more time to really invest in personalized learning. And then finally, if you spent any time around the show, there's so many workshops around creating your own GPTs, creating your own co-pilots. This is an incredibly exciting area. So if you have that interest, if you have a really hard problem to solve, there's never been a better time where the technology is more accessible that you can go and create your own co-pilots, solve problems that you have in your own experience, whatever role that you play in the system. So I'm going to come back to that little journey around going back to what technology has meant for me in my life and why I think this moment with AI is different. So like many of you, I spend time at conferences and have these really deep, rich conversations around the need for transformation and around the possibilities. And then we tend to leave, and sometimes there's the brave person that asks the hard question about what's different this time. I tend to be sitting on the edge of my seat, a little bit of a skeptic, a little bit of a cynic in these areas, and have seen some of the trends in education. But this moment is different. The technology is truly empowering, and the use of AI is going to unlock so much. So as I see the possibilities, I really focus on some of those fundamental human traits that we need, which is providing access information, reducing the fear and uncertainty around that. The very best way that you can do that is something that's offered through the summit. It's connecting with the community. We have an incredible community through Microsoft Education, but the broader ed tech community is doing so much on that common purpose of providing AI-enhanced learning to really empower transformation in the world. Thank you.